Hey, what's up everybody? It's Kellen here from Start Your Systems and welcome back to Monster Energy Supercross for the official video game, where today you're going to be playing my custom replica version of the 2022 Minneapolis Supercross that just happened in real life over the weekend. Talk about the track a little bit, talk about the race a little bit, and send you guys on your way on this lovely Monday. But yeah, built this track, kind of tried to replicate it as best as I could from the track that we saw over the weekend. Obviously there's like a couple things that you kind of can't do in this game that kind of tie in from some of the things that we saw on the weekend. Like this rhythm lane is really, I think, maybe one of the most kind of concurrent rhythm lanes I've ever built. But then right after it, we can't do this raised corner thing like we can, or like we saw in real life. You know, we could do a 180 raised corner, but it's not even raised all the way through. It's just the outside is raised, so that doesn't work. And then, you know, you can do that little roller through the corner, which I feel like works the best to try to replicate that raised corner that they had in Minneapolis. But obviously, the overall feel is not exactly what I was going for with that section. But the rest of the track I feel like is pretty good. I built those whoops a little bit smaller than I normally do and a little bit more spaced out to try to replicate like some of the jump lines that were available, because there's pretty much just one giant rut that went right through the middle of the whoops. You could quad right there, which they were doing in real life, and then this section's actually pretty easy as long as you get the front tire over that first single, then triple single to the corner, which is what they were doing, is also pretty easy to do. So I'm pretty happy with this build. I feel like it worked out pretty well. It's on the PC if you're willing to try it out for yourself. It's called Minneapolis 22. You could either search me, Kellen, you know, search my name or friend me or whatever, and see my tracks, or you could just search Minneapolis 22 and I'm sure it'll be one of the 25 that come up, and then yeah, just try to find mine. So yeah, I want to apologize real quick that I haven't been uploading as much to the channel last like week and a half, and I didn't get a Glendale or Anaheim 3 review out. Had some personal stuff come up with my family, and I just really needed to kind of take a step back and you know, kind of take care of my family first and not, you know, focus too much on the video side. Still did the broadcast for the sim race last week. I just felt like, you know, obligatory wise, that was one of those things that I could still accomplish, but really just wanted to spend time with my family the last week and a half or so, and haven't really been putting the videos out. So apologies for that, but we're going to get back into it. Kind of recap Minneapolis real quickly. I don't want to, you know, delve into a super long video. Just wanted to talk about this track and talk about the race a little bit and get you guys started on your week. Hopefully you're having a good week as mentioned. But yeah, Minneapolis Supercross won by Jason Anderson, his third win of the season. It was going to be won by Chase Sexton. There's no question about that. But Chase Sexton has a massive crash with 2 laps to go. Tacos the front wheel by, you know, sliding out of the corner, and then it was very similar to his Houston 2 crash from last year, I feel like, where the front end started going and then it caught on the jump face. And yeah, if you saw some pictures afterwards, I mean, that front tire was folded up pretty good. So even if Sexton wanted to keep going, which it looked like he was a little bit dazed anyway, he was not going to be able to. That bike, or that front tire was pretty much toast at that point. But yeah, Sexton is in protocol now for concussion, which means that he'll need to pass some further tests before he'll be cleared to race this weekend in Dallas, which, you know, aside from it being a bummer championship-wise, we were about to have, you know, a great 3-way kind of championship dynamic shaping up if he were able to win that race. It also sucks for, you know, the health of Sexton because, you know, he does take a decent little bit of falls on the 450 of late, I feel like, and anytime anybody ever has a concussion, it's not good. Even if it's one of those types of injuries that we say, oh, people can come back from them pretty quick. It's, you know, a short-term thing. They come back from it quick, but long-term concussions are always kind of the worst injury post-career. So you hate to see it. I never want to see somebody get hurt, but gosh, so weird how he just had that thing in control, and then one little slip of the front end, which that track was tending to do. It just seemed like there's a little bit of a breakaway point and a certain limit that you could push it on, and he wasn't even pushing. It was just one of those things where the front end slid at a weird spot. Coming out of this corner, front end slides up to this jump, and then he kind of, you know, lawn darts up to the face of the next one because of that. So weird crash, but obviously Jason Anderson gifted the victory because of it. His third win of the season, now closes up to 3 behind Eli Tomac. Eli Tomac goes down early in the main event on the rear tire of his teammate Dylan Ferrandis, who got sideways in the whoops. They weren't necessarily off to a great start anyway. It wasn't like they were right at the front when they got together, but Tomac still had to come from dead last and got up to 6th. He would have only gotten to 7th if Sexton didn't go down, but obviously Sexton did. And, you know, it actually hurt him more, I guess, because Anderson seems like he's going to be the direct competition at this point, and Anderson got 2 extra points on Tomac for that soiree, if you will. So it didn't help Tomac that Sexton went down. It actually hurt him points-wise, but he does get 6th. It's a great ride through the field. It's a very measured approach. I feel like he just, let the race come to him, which I've said many times already this year about, Christian Craig rides through the field and stuff like that. But, yeah, I just thought it was a good ride for him to get back to that position. And I personally believe that now that we're looking at Anderson and Tomac only 3 points apart, and I get that Malcolm Stewart is, I think he's 20 down, Sexton is 23 down or something like that. But it's a big hole to dig out for a lot of these guys at this point, including Cooper Webb, who looked better at this round, but I'm still not convinced. I think this is going to be Tomac versus Anderson to the flag from here. 10 rounds to go. It's not often we see someone come back from as big of a hole as anybody is from 3rd on back this deep into the championship and make it happen, especially when it hasn't really been one of those situations where anybody back there is like clicking off wins. Like, I guess you could say, yeah, Sexton could, feel a lot better this week and go out and start clicking off wins because he's one of the guys that can do it. But Webb hasn't shown that. Malcolm Stewart hasn't really shown that. And as much as I want to stick with the idea that parity will reign supreme, I just feel like we're at a point now where it's going to be Tomac versus Anderson moving forward. And honestly, I'm kind of split down the middle with them. They're both obviously one-time former Supercross champions. Anderson in 2018, Tomac in 2020. They both have switched to new teams this year and both seem to be happier with their situations. Anderson's obviously the first person to 3 wins and arguably should be the first person to 4 wins or maybe more, but it just hasn't worked out in his favor. And then Tomac, his starts have gotten better. He's looked the best we've seen out of Tomac since maybe 17 Tomac early in the season. And, both have their strengths right now. Both have their weaknesses. I feel like Tomac, when he doesn't get a start, it's pretty bad. Anderson so far has proven that he can start like 10th or 11th and still get to the podium, but he hasn't had a start back there very often because he usually gets good starts. So definite strength versus a weakness of Tomac right there. But even Tomac's weakness with starts is still coming around. So, gosh, I don't really know where to split it, but I do think it's those two moving forward. So at this point, I'm moving off of the Cooper Webb train. I'm no longer saying he will win this 2022 title. I was ready to move off the train before Minneapolis anyway, so this second place finish doesn't necessarily shift the tides for me. He's just too far down. It's just the cold, hard facts of it at this point. Yes, he did gain points on Tomac in the championship this round, but he's got to start winning races hand over fist, and it didn't even look like he was going to podium this round until Stewart slid out late and Sexton went down while leading. So, he gets 2nd, but he was probably going to get 4th, and I just am not convinced that the changes that they've made to that machine in the last couple of weeks are going to be monumental towards the championship run. So I'm out on Webb. I'm in on Tomac versus Anderson to the flag, and I think that's honestly going to be a fun title fight to watch because it's two kind of different approaches to the race, I feel like, as well. Anderson always kind of loose and fast in the beginning, and then Tomac picks it up and kind of is the freight train that gets rolling towards the end of the races. So that'll be fun. It'll be kind of cool to see. I don't even know what the heck just happened to me right there, but it'll be kind of cool to see which of those two kind of take the next steps. And first off, we're going to Dallas, which I think would be a track that probably suits Anderson a little bit better. So I could see Anderson winning this weekend, but then we're going to Daytona. Tomac's obviously great at Daytona. It'll be a lot of fun to see where this championship goes from here, and I'm here for it. So yeah, 450 class, catch the fever. 250 class, though, they started off the 250 East Championship this weekend in Minneapolis, and surprise, surprise, Jet Lawrence wins. But honestly, I don't think that I was like, oh my gosh, Jet Lawrence was just head and shoulders above everybody else at any point during the day, including the main event. He was the best rider in the main event, no question, but I don't necessarily think it was leagues better than everybody else, and maybe everybody was still trying to kind of figure things out in the opening round. So I think starts are going to be very dependent in this class. Everybody started up front and they kind of finished where they started, but I think if J-Mart starts up there, he probably challenges for the win. It seems like Hampshire had a good middle part of his race going and maybe could have gotten to those guys, but then everybody kind of fanned back out again. It was a difficult track to make time up, I felt like. And Lawrence wins, but I feel like we could go to Dallas and Hampshire could win, or Martin could win, or McAdoo or Faulkner or any of those guys could get in the mix as well. 250 East is kind of still status quo to me, and it's nice as well that the championship started out and kind of the 5 guys we more or less expected to be the guys going into it are the guys that go 1 through 5 at the opening round of the championship, because it leaves everybody in it, right? It's not like J-Mart had a bad opening round or Faulkner had a bad opening round or whatever. Everybody's still right there. So, you know, that's good for moving forward in the championship, because the second someone has a bad round in this short series, you kind of already start to rule them out of the championship a little bit, which is, you know, kind of, it sucks, but it's also the reality of these shortened 250 championships. There's only 9-10 rounds to really get it done, and yeah, everybody's still in it early on. So looking good. I feel like Dallas is going to be a good track for probably Jet again. Jet seems like he's coming into this championship maybe a little bit more measured than he has been in the past. We've seen him kind of throw caution to the wind, and he even spoke to it in the post-race press conference about how, like, you know, mentally this year he's trying to take steps back from that and more methodically approach each race and stuff like that. So definitely looked like it this weekend in Minneapolis. Like, it was a slick track like we saw with Biting Sexton a little bit later on in the night. Had a deceiving layer of traction that broke loose beneath it, and Jet was perfectly comfortable all the way throughout the main event, I thought. So he looks strong. It's good to see Faulkner get back on the podium. He's had a very rough last 2 years. Like, nothing has really gone his way in terms of a championship fight or race wins or outdoors or anything. So for him to, you know, get on the podium, lead some laps, and look like he's actually going to be right in the thick of this 250 East Championship, I thought was pretty cool to see. And then McAdoo, just pretty measured approach to start the championship, very similar to what we saw out of him last year. And yeah, we're off to the races. Gonna be fun to watch for sure. My question of the day to you fine folks watching at home is, who do you think in this 250 class, like, maybe either surprised or disappointed you the most at the opening round? Because I feel like that's kind of a hard question to answer, because there's not really anybody that I feel like left with their head like hanging super low. Maybe you could look at like a Jordan Smith, who almost won his heat race but then crashed twice in the main event. You know, some guys didn't even make the night show, I guess, so you could say those guys. But you know, were you surprised necessarily, I guess, to not see Levi Kitchen in the mix? Or maybe Enzo Lopes was a shock to get 8th, or did he get, yeah, he got 8th in the end, I think. Just someone like that. What was like your biggest surprise from the opening round of the 250 championship? And yeah, that'll kick off our bench racing in the comment section below. As always, if you guys have anything that you'd like to talk about down below, I'm happy to expand on further and chit chat with you guys down there. Trying to keep these videos a little bit shorter. Jumping around with the idea of maybe kickstarting a podcast here soon, so maybe that'll be the new long form that you guys search for. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you guys liked my rendition of the Minneapolis Supercross track in Monster Energy Supercross 4. And looking forward to getting back after it and doing more videos this week coming up as we move into the end of February. So thanks guys for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next one. So long for now.